here today, and Mike's right, we're going to talk about satellite imagery. I get paid to look at beautiful imagery of our planet and try to answer questions. And it's a great time to be in the answers business when it comes to satellite imagery. And that's largely because we're living through an age of abundance when it comes to imagery of our planet. And the news alert is that didn't happen because of a surge of venture capital in the last few years in the commercial space. It actually happened quietly more than 20 years ago when NASA and the European Space Agency started taking on the mission of Earth observation, EOS. This is an image of Earth from last week. You can see it's a bit of a mess. This is us, Boston, in the corner. There are a lot more raw ingredients to do the work we do at TellusLabs, but the ingredients are pretty raw. And some of the work that we do is translating images like that into images like this. And going back to that image, if you think about that cloud cover, that imagery has been happening, has been gathered every single day, 4 times a day, everywhere on Earth since 2002. Wherever you were on the planet, if you looked up at 10:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the afternoon, or the same at night, you were being imaged. The trick is the imagery that we're talking about is not the kind of imagery that the human eye is used to looking at, but it can build compelling visualizations like this. And what I just said was true of just 2 satellites. So this fur ball is European Space Agency and NASA instruments that collectively have built the most compelling record of the Earth ever created. And the question is, what's it doing for us? So it's a pretty amazing record. All of our taxpayer dollars have created it. It's all license-free for commercial use, and there's a ton of answers hiding out in that imagery. A lot of us do this work because we fell in love with it, right? It's incredible imagery. But it's its own challenge. The abundance is its own challenge. Just those 2 satellites I talked about that I showed you an image from, they've collected 4 quadrillion observations. 4,000 trillion. 4,000 years of assets under management here. So it's a lot of data. $1 per bit would be a pretty amazing balance sheet. And the question is, how do we harness it? And this is the part of the story where I would say, insert the machines, right? So these days I would say cloud compute and machine learning to the rescue, and we're going to get to answers. And the reality is that we're not in a good place when it comes to exotic Earth data, weather, visual observations, even ground data, are stranded today from modern machine learning frameworks. And the main reason is it's a pretty weird thing to want to do, to watch the whole planet every day and do something operationally. There are very, very few people in the world that worry about that. And when scientists worry about it, and they're the ones that are designing these instruments, they think in terms of scientific studies and scientific conclusions. They're not thinking about supporting operationally decision makers that are in the markets on a daily basis. And that's what we care about at TellusLabs. Right now, we're missing a bunch of tools and experience and data to connect the answers that are already there to the systems that are already hitting maturity and scale. So that's what we obsess about. And what happens on the other side of that, when you build a terabyte scale operational system for making decisions every day, the question is, where do you point it? And for an early stage startup like us, and there's 12 of us right here in Boston and Davis Square, you better choose just one theme. You could point a system at that, at water, at forestry, at urban systems, at industrial. And when I say forestry, I don't mean a patch of trees, I mean every tree. When I say industrial, I don't mean a few sites in China, I mean every factory in China. This is imagery that's whole Earth multiple times a day. We've chosen to point our system at agriculture. And we think that's a great place to start. I understand we're going to hear a little bit more about demography later today. That's part of the reason why agriculture makes a whole lot of sense for this kind of first of its kind system. There are $8 trillion in the economy linked to agriculture. There's 1.3 billion farmers. 40% of the Earth's land surface is transformed by agriculture on a daily basis. And the reality today is, even though that factory floor is playing out under blue sky, and I told you we've been watching for 20, 25 years, the reality is the amount of uncertainty in agricultural commodities asset class is unbelievable. So we're still in essentially the 1950s when it comes to understanding what's coming next for yield. It's the thing that all of us rely on as humans, right? And it's not going to get any easier. Thanks to demography and climate change and economics, we're looking at a 60 to 100% food gap in the next 25 years. And there's going to be a lot of innovation required to close that gap. But what's certainly not helping is the fact that we can't see the factory floor, even though there's no roof on it. And that's really what we do at TellusLabs. So we observe that factory floor every single day. We're instrumenting the planet for global observation. We, on a daily basis, are watching the world's largest corn and soy harvest, 180 million acres of corn and soy in the United States. We track it every single day. And we translate that raw Earth data into a Bloomberg terminal-like experience for our customers. We're trying to bring the same visibility, transparency, reliability that you would look to follow an equity asset into another asset class like agriculture. And for some of our customers, they have that Bloomberg-style experience, and it helps inform their trading decisions. You know, for others, we know who they are because we can hear the trading floor behind them in the background when we talk to them. They just want a text alert pushed to their phone the moment that our perspective on this crop moves enough for them. And the other persona that we're meeting this summer, we went live on July 4th, is folks that look a lot like us. So we're really surprised as we work with some of the largest hedge funds, asset managers, and some of the big ag players at the scale and the centralization of their data analytics teams. So they have data scientists that can run right alongside us. And those folks actually are just asking us, where's the API? So we went API first on the app. And a lot of our data is just flowing straight into client systems. And we're happy if they can build forecasts that are better than ours. We see our role as enabling them to run alongside. I was reflecting with my co-founder, Mark Friedel, who is a professor at Boston University here, about the journey. And a word on that, essentially this is the team. So we're a small crew. And we got started because Amazon Web Services has a program called Activate. So we could burn through $100,000 of cloud compute in 12 months. If that program didn't exist, which is the equivalent of millions of dollars of compute even 5 years ago, companies like TELUS wouldn't happen. And what we've really done is we built an engine, an Earth observation engine. It's essentially a platform. We've built an app on top of it. We call it Kernel. It solves a problem we think is important. We've got some customers. Kernel's getting bigger. We're running it in South America here in just a month. But really what's coming next for us and other companies like TellusLabs, and we certainly have peers, is that platform is going to start to fuel new apps. And it's hard to tell whether those apps are going to do carbon monitoring to support the Paris Accords, or whether they're going to support water resource intelligence in a world of scarcity there. It's hard to tell what the apps will be. But certainly, the common denominator is firms like us identifying environmental uncertainty that's sort of existential and of course has market impact. That's really the space that we think this new insight capability is going to light up for the world. Thank you.